What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today I have another video in our series of comparing some of the top prospects in this year's 2022 NBA draft. Today we're going to be looking at Jaden Ivey and Shannon Sharp, two very intriguing prospects, two very similar prospects with different backgrounds, I guess you could say. And so it's going to be a fun video. We're going to talk about how they compare to each other physically, offensively, defensively, and then just overall who I think the better prospect is of the two. More importantly, want to hear what you guys have to say about it, so make sure you leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Let me know who you think is the better player. And with that being said, let's get into the video. So I'm going to start with how do Shannon Sharp and Jaden Ivey compare to each other physically. And when you're talking about the physical characteristics of these two guys, there's not a lot of difference between the two. Starting with Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp's a 6'5", 200-pound shooting guard, 7-foot wingspan, and maybe the most explosive player in this year's draft class. He's someone who plays easily above the rim, rumored vertical anywhere between 42 and 48 inches, has the size, has the length to play the two-guard spot, has the athleticism. And so just in terms of physical characteristics, there's not a lot to nitpick with Shannon Sharp. I think he's got broad enough shoulders where he can put on some weight, and I think he can eventually get to that 215, 220 pound mark pretty easily. And so, like I said, not a lot to nitpick with in terms of Shannon Sharp's physical abilities. Comparing that to Jaden Ivey, and you almost have a clone in a sense. Jaden Ivey is a 6'5", just about 200-pound shooting guard. Doesn't have quite as much length as Shannon Sharp, only a 6'9" wingspan compared to Shannon Sharp's 6'11" wingspan. But still, you're talking about another player who may be the most explosive player in this year's draft. He's someone who, again, can easily play above the rim, can rise up with the best of them, quick twitch athlete. I've compared him in his body style to Ja Morant. I think they're very similar in terms of being kind of more on that lean, wiry, strong side, very quick twitch athletes, explosive athletes, fast, quick first step, can play above the rim, all that. And so Jaden Ivey, Shannon Sharp, take your pick and who has the better physical abilities or better traits. I don't know. It's a toss-up to me, and you can't go wrong with either of them. Moving over to the offensive side of the ball, you got Shannon Sharp, who is really just a giant mystery in this year's draft class. No one knows exactly what he could be. Now, when you're talking about a 6'5" shooting guard, athletic, maybe the most athletic guy in the draft, that's not a bad place to start. Can easily play in transition, can get up and down, and can thrive in that type of system. But the thing with Shaedon is that he's said in interviews before, the guys that he compares his game to is Bradley Beal and Devon Booker, two guys who definitely don't have the athleticism that Shannon Sharp has, but you can see that skill set in Shaedon when he plays. Now, it wasn't against college competition, it's been against high school, but you can see the three-level ability with Shaedon. You can talk about getting downhill. He's got the type of handle where he doesn't necessarily have the shiftiness left to right, I think, of some other players, but he can get to his spots, he can get downhill, and he can use that athleticism to finish at the hoop. He has a good layup package, can finish in a number of ways there. Then where I think maybe he's best at, and where you can see those shades of Bradley Beal and Devon Booker, is that mid-range game. Can really get to his spots, has a bunch of different shots he can hit out of the mid-post area, great footwork, can get his shot off against anyone, takes a ton of tough shots, and can make a ton of tough shots. And then the three-point shot is a work in progress. He's always had a little bit of a spotty shot selection in terms of that, and so his percentages haven't always been great in high school. He's always still been a mid to high 30% three-point shooter, but his form, I think, suggests that if he cleaned up his shot selection, could easily be high 30, 40% type three-point guy. And so there's just a ton of upside with Shannon Sharp. The big question mark for him is going to be his playmaking ability. Can he take his game to that next level there? That's the question mark with him offensively. But in terms of just someone who can score the ball, you're not going to find much guys better than him, at least in terms of being a prospect. Jaden Ivey to me is like Shaedon in that there's a lot of room for his offensive game to grow, and I think there's a lot of potential there. The difference is between the two is that we've seen Jaden play against college competition or a higher level of competition, and we've seen that Jaden has gotten better from his freshman year to his sophomore year. The big jump for him was with his jump shot. He improved dramatically from three-point land. With that, going to about 36% this last year at Purdue, and he's got good form, got good mechanics, always been a good free throw shooter. I think that it's just a matter of time of him becoming that at the NBA level. I think he can be a high 40% three-point shooter. It's just going to take some time there. Like Shannon Sharp, freak athlete, thrives in transition, can get downhill and finish at the hoop there. He's someone who I don't think quite right now has the shot creation ability that Shannon Sharp has. I think Shannon Sharp is meant to score the ball where Jaden is a little more off the ball, can score on cuts, has some ability if he improves that handle, can just be more assertive with himself. Then I think the shot creation ability could be there. But like I said, I don't think it's at Shannon Sharp's level. And then like Shaedon, I think the big question mark will be how good a playmaker can Jaden Ivey become? There's some talk of him potentially being a combo guard. He could play some point guard. He's going to have to get better at being a playmaker and improve that part of his game. But I just think that offensively, Jaden Ivey's game fits with a lot of different people. He can fit into really any system. I think he can be a versatile player for a lot of teams. And there's a lot to like with this game as there's just so much more room, I think, for it to develop. Defensive ability is a little hard to say, especially for Shannon Sharp, just because we haven't seen him play against as high a level competition. And there's just been times where at high school, like a lot of elite prospects, he's just seemed disinterested in playing defense, doesn't give multiple efforts, but there is a lot of potential there with him. You got the size at 6'5". I think he's got the frame and the ability to put on weight where he can get stronger. Good athlete, so he should be able to guard multiple positions. Has the length at 6'11" wingspan, and from what we've seen in high school, has been or has shown some shot blocking ability or ability to alter shots at around the rim, which is really nice to see. You compare that to Jaden Ivey. Jaden Ivey's played at the college level. He's showing that he can show effort, has a lot of versatility defensively, can guard both guard spots, and I think has shown just a little bit more effort on that end of the floor. And so right now, I would say that Jaden Ivey is the better defender of the two. Shannon Sharp's kind of a question mark. Like I said, it's just a lot of times in high school with these elite players, they're not really asked to play a ton of defense. And so Shaedon's question mark, Jaden Ivey definitely has a lot of potential on that end of the floor. Overall, who's the better prospect of the two? I think they're really similar players. I think you would just have to go, in my opinion, with Shannon Sharp. He's a little bit younger. There's just that unknown factor. I think he's got a little bit more room to grow in terms of being a playmaker. I think he could do that. There's probably a little bit more bust potential with Shaedon as well, just due to being that unknown factor where we've seen Jaden Ivey get better and improve and show that he can improve his game. And so I like that aspect with Jaden. But just overall, I think Shaedon has a slightly better upside and can become a little bit better than Jaden. But I really like these two guys. I would take them both over someone like Paolo Banchero. Just my opinion, a lot more upside with them. And so those are my thoughts. Make sure you leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Let me know who you think is better, all that. And with that being said, I'll talk to you guys later.